Welcome to Voices of the Plaza, the podcast, hosted by Peggy MacArthur. This is where we amplify stories of empowerment, innovation, and success from the heart of the Global Business Plaza. Each week, Peggy introduces us to one of the creative business people, entrepreneurs, and industry experts who are shaping their fields and redefining success. Together, we'll explore unique journeys, highlight remarkable expertise, and uncover the inspiration behind their success.
Welcome to Voices of the Plaza, and boy, do I have another amazing show for you today. I am joined by Jessica Dugas, and Jessica, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, because I don't know, you have a lot going on. You have a lot going on.
The understatement of the millennium right there. And I've always been that way. I've always had a lot going on. I really was talking to someone the other day, and I said, I just really, I fall in love so easily with people, with things, with, all of it. And so I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of things that I'm really passionate about. And so it's funny because in this trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do with my life and my business? You get that pressure a lot of, you got to pick like one thing and niche and go just this direction. I would feel like I was dying if I did that. So I can't do it. But overall, I am the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network, which is a collection of social media broadcasts and a community as well, that focuses on personal development. And because we know that sort of ripples into everything, that we also talk about spiritual development and business development. And there's a lot of things sort of tied together. I'm also an international best-selling author and a mom of 6 and a partridge in a pear tree.
Right. That just still doesn't sum you up, but that gives us a little taste. So I'm excited because I was talking to Aisla the other day, and we were like, the more we get to know Jessica, the more we like her. And I was like, I know. So I'm like, I get to dive in and find out even more amazing things.
So, I love it, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
So your journey holds a lot of stuff, a lot of chapters. You've got grief, you've got motherhood, survival, triumph. Where do you feel, what chapter do you think you're writing right now?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's so hard for me this is why I don't have like a book about my life, because I feel like so many chapters sort of weave together in a very strange way. I'm in a really interesting space of personal discovery right now, and I've been really for a little while. The Breakthrough Show Network back in 2017 was an idea that I came up. Well, it was the Breakthrough Show at first. It was an idea that I came up with because I had written a story about how my life shifted tremendously when my 24-year-old brother died of cancer. And after I wrote in that book, I was doing mentoring. I had a mom's group at that time that I was running and a lot of different things. But that period of time really shifted me into this space of personal development for myself. And I feel like every year, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people watching and even yourself that can relate to this, the older you get, the more like you feel more in this place of self-discovery, like you care about other things less, and you start to care more about, like, what am I doing and what does this mean? And, am I having enough fun? Am I enjoying life? Like, there's a lot of things. So I feel, again, the older I get, the more, I'm even more curious now than I even was as a child, and that's saying something. So I just I want to know all the things. And so I'm in this place of discovery and going, if I'm experiencing this in my life right now, then what does that mean for me? And how can I, lean into that a little bit more, I guess.
I feel like I feel like myself and a lot of people in the Global Business Plaza that I talk to are kind of in the space right now where it's like shift, balance, shift. It's kind of like recalibrating. It's
Yeah.
like not in a bad way, not in a shocking way, just in a like almost a curious like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to shift here. Okay, let me get my grounding here. Oh, maybe a little bit more this way, a little bit more this way. And just a recalibration is just, I feel like recalibration is going to be my year of 20, my word for 2026.
It
Uh,
makes sense.
or maybe it's just going to be my word this month because it's coming up to me like all the time.
I know, and I feel that like the constantly just going to a space and going, okay, what is this? How does this feel? And does this, and then also it's easier now for me to, if it's not a good fit, it's becoming easier now for me to let things go, which is not something that historically has been easy for me to do because I am a very nostalgic, hang on to it until it burns
Right.
kind of thing. I'm horrible that way. And so, but it is becoming easier now to go, hey, this isn't a good fit, we're gonna let this go.
That's that how about I mute my computer? How about we do that? There we go. Um, um, I feel like letting go is like a superpower.
Mm,
I feel like the older I get, the better I get at that because I too, like you, was not good at letting go of things.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing.
I'm
So
trying for it to be a superpower. It's not easy for me, but
you're a storyteller. Like bottom line, you're a storyteller. You're a writer. You've got your show. You've got your network. You are a storyteller. Would you say that that's like accurate?
yeah, I always have sort of felt like I'm in the wrong time, if that makes sense. Like I'm from like when we used to sit around a campfire and that was the only entertainment we had was telling stories. I sort of feel like I'm from that period of time, maybe. But I grew up with my grandparents mostly, and I think back in that time they told a lot of stories, and so I was always just, like I said, curious, fascinated by hearing more. And it's so funny. I'm trying not to laugh right now because I used to love all of the trashy 90s talk shows like Ricky Lake,
Uh-huh.
Sally Jesse Raphael. And I'm laughing because I just picked up my glasses and I'm like, these are red like Sally Jesse.
And the Voices of the Plaza is the first podcast you get to be sassy on. I like it. Just
I know.
pull
And
it.
and so like I used to love those kinds of shows, but I wouldn't, a lot of people watch them and they're like, oh, this is funny, and they go about their day. I want to know, I'm like, where did they come from? How did they get to that place? Like I just have always sort of been super curious in that way. So I love hearing stories as much as I enjoy telling stories. And so it's always just been part of who I am, I think.
So, do you remember the very first time somebody told you that your story changed them?
Mm. Um, so I remember there's a couple instances here. One, when I had the moms group, the reason I started the moms group is because I mentioned I'm a mom of six. I homeschool, and I've always, like I said, I've had my hands in a lot of things, and I was getting that question all the time of like, I don't know how you do it. Like, how are you like not bald, pulling your hair out, like rocking in a corner somewhere. And so that period of time was the first time that I think I started to hear the you know uh, you're helping me, you're creating this space that makes me feel like I'm not alone, and all of these things. But when I wrote the specific moment that sticks out for me is when I wrote that story about my brother passing away, and the things that I learned. My mother um, messaged me and she said, thank you for writing that story because I couldn't process it when it happened. And that was such a moment for me because my mom and I have always had an interesting relationship, and it's come a long way, and it's beautiful now, and for what it is and all of that. But to hear that from her meant more to me than I can ever say, because it, it's just not something I would have expected to hear and from her, and to have it impact her in that way. And so that was the first time I think I really heard, I understood, like, this is important to share your story, because this is how we come together and we fix things, that might have been broken.
That's really true, because when you share your story, it does allow healing. It does
Mhm.
allow, communication. You got to put air in that. You got to let the air hit that sore so it can heal. And that's really so. What that story, your story about your brother, has particularly done for me. I've never told you this before.
Oh.
Um, so, some of you may know, may not, but 10 years ago, my oldest son was killed in a car accident. And I lost my son. And I knew that my kids were hurting and going through that pain too. But it was never my daughter lost her big brother. I don't know if that, I don't know if that makes sense. I never saw it from anybody but my own pain. Like, I knew they were in pain, but I didn't. And listening to you talk, I'm like, this is a sister that lost her brother. Oh my gosh, my daughter lost her big brother. My son lost his big brother. Like, oh,
Yeah.
and and I think that's allowed us to have different conversations than we've
Mm.
had before. Because I wouldn't say that I didn't ever think before that they were in pain. I just didn't. I don't even. Maybe I'm not even. I've never articulated this out loud, and I'm realizing, wait, maybe I should have articulated it once before going on a podcast. But it's really been powerful. Your story has really been powerful in our family, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Oh no, that means a lot to me, because I do think um I have had really deep experiences with grief since I was pretty young. I lost my best friend was killed by a drunk driver when I was 16. And then I lost another friend right shortly after that. Was killed in a car accident. And then I always was super, like I said, really close to my grandparents, my great grandparents. We were a very close knit family in that way. And I went through tremendous grief in losing them. And I think part of the challenge, when talking about what happened with my brother, is my mom and I coming to some sort of understanding about the individual grief that we each experience, and that they're very different. There's really not one that's like worse grief than the other, because it all just depends on the kind of tools we have, like
Mhm.
the sort of energetic tools, if you will, like how we want to lean into it, and what we do with the grief, and the kind of support we have, and the relationship that we had with the person that we lost. And so I think, like so many other things in life, it is easy for us to be in the bubble of what we're experiencing, and not really, and rightfully so, taking into account what somebody else might be going through in their own grief.
Right. And it's not one's worse than the other, but it's different. And everybody experiences grief differently as well anyway. But just to see that, I don't know, it was just like a aha moment, that I was like, oh, like, it's a big deal to lose your son, but it's a big deal to lose your big brother. In a different way. So anyway, so you've transformed your pain, which you've had a lot of in your life, into a platform to help others.
Mm.
How do you go about protecting your softness and standing in strength at the same time?
I don't know. Can you tell me? I mean, it's. I feel like, and sort of, I guess I hesitate a little bit in saying this, but there's moments I really don't know. I just sort of go with what I feel. um, in the moment. I think I have always been a pretty soft, very naive. I mean, I had a conversation during the expo with Susan in her room, and I had them rolling on the floor because I'm so naive. I am so naive. Like I was worse as a child, um, and so I guess that comes across, I guess, as well, she's a softie. She doesn't really know anything because she just believes whatever. But I I think I have, and this is another thing that I think comes with the older you get, and you start to witness the world in a way that it's hard to look out at the world as it is sometimes right now, and not feel like I just want to rage and, and freak out and be mad. And even looking back at the things that I've gone through in my own life, it is so easy to want to slip into why.
Mm.
Why me? Why did this happen? And a lot of times I can point the finger back at myself, and that's a real humbling moment, to be able to go, well, I did that. But my bigger challenge has been not allowing myself to live in guilt and anger at myself, because that has had a worse effect on my health than anger for I went through this. It's more like, what have I done? And so I think it helps me a lot to have a network where I'm also committed to sharing other people's stories, because it takes me out of this be so angry and feel bad for yourself place, because I've got to focus on other people, and so that really helps me. And that's another, I think, sort of superpower, I think, when it comes to telling stories and listening to stories, is it doesn't take much to hear somebody else's story and go, oh, well, I thought I had it really bad, or I thought I viewed things this way, or whatever. It takes you out of your own crap and to focus on somebody else's stuff for a little while. And so that really helps me in sort of this balance of, well, I want to change my life and I want to do better, but I can't sit here in this place of what if, and why did this happen to me? How come? And not having the answers, because I don't think we're meant to have all the answers. I'll just say that.
Exactly that, and my least favorite phrase is "That's not fair," because
Mm,
no one ever promised us fair. Like that was never ever in the. That's just not.
yep.
That's just not it. And because so many things are just not fair.
True.
So that's we could spend our whole life on that, and where was that going to get us?
Right. And, similarly to what I was talking about with sort of this hierarchy that we create for ourselves when we're talking about grief, it's the same thing with life experience, I feel like. I've met a lot of people who, you would think that they've had it harder because of one particular thing, but they had more tools than I had, or that I'm supposed to have it harder because of this particular thing. But I really think somewhere, somebody rolls the dice somewhere in the and goes like, here you go, like figure that out. You
Figure
know,
that out.
I don't know.
I mean, and it is funny the tools that we pick up along the way.
Hmm.
Um, when I was 3 years old, I was sitting on my sister's bed. I remember this like clear. My sister's 11 years older than me. I don't know where she got this piece of wisdom, but she told me it doesn't matter how broken your life is. The only thing that matters is how good you are at picking up the pieces. And then she poked me in the chest and she's like, "You're good, Peggy. You're good at it. You're really good at it." And that little thing that happened when I was 3 years old has carried me well over 50 years now, in every time it feels like everything's crumbling, it's like, it's all right. I'm just going to pick these pieces back up.
Yeah.
And it's little tools like that that we pick up that may seem insignificant, but they're actually like, the amazing thing.
Right.
So I want to talk about the Breakthrough Show Network. The Breakthrough Show Network doesn't just broadcast, it heals. I mean, it's I don't know a lot about it, but I know enough to know that it is amazing. How have you blended the technology with the soulfulness and the transformation, and how has that kind of unfolded for you? Like, is it at all what you dreamed it would be, or is it just grown legs and done its own thing?
I never thought we would be. I mean, I never thought I'd be doing this. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. I mean, I look back and I was joking about the old talk shows that I used to watch when I wasn't supposed to be watching them, but I did. And my great grandparents, okay, they had a basement that was partially finished, and they had an extra bed down there for like company that would come, and there was no door to that bed, so there was just this like old clothesline, and they had like
Oh,
a
uh-huh.
curtain hanging, and I would invite my friend Tiffany from across the street to come down there, and I would pretend that I was the white Oprah Winfrey. I mean, I was like through the curtain, everybody, please. Well, and so I look back at that moment and go, okay, maybe there was me that was foreshadowing of like, I want to have a talk show. That's what I want to do. But you don't know when you're 9 years old and like playing in the curtain in the basement, you don't know what's going on. And so when I came out, when I had the breakthrough show initially, which is how it started, I said I want to have a show like The View but less drama. I don't want people arguing on the stage, none of that stuff. And so I had a panel style talk show. We were focused on spiritual development only at the time, and then I had gotten really sick about 2 seasons into it, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't be on camera all the time right now. But I've grown this platform, and I had two friends at the time who had talked to me about wanting to start their own shows. And I said, well, listen, I've got an idea. I said, I could help you like behind the scenes, and you could just broadcast on my page. At the time, I was just on Facebook. I wasn't even on YouTube, nothing then. I said, you could just broadcast on my page and I could help you and I could get some rest. And that's how we accidentally became a network, because now I've got my show, which is on hiatus, and two other shows. And I proceeded in 2019. I had this journey that I've had with my health has been really interesting. But I had, I think, 63 different tests that year with no results, no answers, no nothing. And I was so burnt out at the end of 2019. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be poked, prodded. I don't scanned. None of it. I realize we don't have answers yet, but I'm tired. I can't do this because there's that roller coaster that you ride of like, I'm going to get an answer. I have no answers. Oh, maybe we're going to, and I don't know what's going on. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And at the end of 2019, I said, I am not going to do anything anymore that doesn't bring me joy. And I realize that some people looking in are like, that's cute. You still have to pay bills and wash dishes and all of those non-joyful things that you don't like to do, right? But I said, no, the point for me is that if there's something I don't find the joy in, I'm going to make it joyful. I'm going to crank the music. I'm going to team up with somebody that has more energy than I do. I'm going to, something. And then I said, and I'm going to take everybody on the journey with me. And in an hour, I wrote down 52 places in my life that I could find joy. And that was the first season of Project Joy Live.
Oh, wow.
Hour, like I was, and who knew at that time that 2020 was going to end up being the fun that it was. And so everybody needed the joy, and so I started January 2020. I added the show Project Joy to the Breakthrough Show Network lineup, and was going through, and then March came, and I was like, oh, this is why this all came to me the end of last year. And so over time, we have had, hosts come and go. A lot of people will come, and one of the things that was important to me is I didn't want it to be just B2B. I wanted to have people on the network who are super passionate about having their show, whether they have a business or they're just excited about life. I wanted people that were going to be on there to be excited and light up the screen and bring more joy into the world, and a safe spaces for people to explore some of these deeper questions of life, and all of that. And so that's the long answer of I had no idea that it was going to turn out like this. And now, it's so beautiful because it's starting to turn out the Breakthrough Show Network, Plaza Network, because now we also have two other Plaza members who are hosts. So it's fun.
I know it's just weaving together. We're like,
I love it.
yeah, I've noticed, I've seen that. And
Yeah.
I just love connections are like, I've always been a connector. Like I've just always been really good at like, I know you, you know who you should know them. And, I've just, and so to watch your network and the Global Business Plaza just kind of like flow together seamlessly is this, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see everything kind of crossing. And that's been, if I can talk about this for a minute, I was also involved with another network. My show was involved with another network, a while back, and there wasn't, there wasn't this sort of camaraderie that I see with the Breakthrough Show Network, where the hosts know each other, they're aware of what's going on. We kind of, cross paths a lot. Like I'll be on somebody else's show, they'll come on mine, I'll recommend a guest. That didn't happen on that other network, and I felt like it was such a missed opportunity. And I see this with, there's several of us within the plaza that have our own little, communities or networks or spaces. There's so much magic that can happen when we come together and collaborate and say, hey, like I have this person that's good for you and this person's good for you, and hey, maybe we can do a show together, whatever. But the so much opportunity like that is missed out on because people are so in their, well, we're in bubbles here today, but in their bubbles.
Well, because they live in a place of fear and lack, and they think that everybody's their competition. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that anybody's my competition.
Yeah.
I've been a photographer for 37 years. Do you know how many people are photographers? If I was afraid of competition, like I would have set my career down, decades ago. Because when you're in public and people say, what do you do for a living? And you say a photographer, they don't say, oh, cool, tell me about that. They say, oh, my uncle has a camera. Oh, my friend's a photographer. Oh, and they don't care.
Right.
And so I realized that a long, long time ago, you can do the exact same thing that I do, but I'm going to do it different. And I want to work with different people than you want to work with. And my idea of success is different than your idea of success. And if we work together, ooh, the magic we can make. And I think that's definitely the core and the heart of the Global Business Plaza is, I mean, we have, how many community leaders do we have in the Global Business Plaza? Like so many separate communities in our community, because it's not a place that brings up that strife. It's a place it's like, hey, we should work together.
Right. Right.
And you just can't fear somebody taking your idea or doing, because they're never going, if it's done maliciously, they're not going to thrive. And if it's not done maliciously, they're going to do it so different that it doesn't matter.
Right. And it's hard. It's hard now. I think we've talked a lot on the Breakthrough Show Network from show to show, really, about how much things have changed, for the last 20, 30 years because we've gone from this sort of like you had to pick up the phone to call someone. And if they weren't there, you had to just leave a message and hope they were going to call you back. And to now we're so well connected, but I don't necessarily think that there's been enough time to process through the what is this going to look like, or what's the etiquette here, or I just feel like we're learning as we go, which is sometimes a dangerous road to be on. It's fun, but sure, but I mean it's a lot. But so I think there's a lot of us that are learning. We're in this sort of noisy, very saturated place. And I think that's the importance of being part of communities, because the people in the communities can rein you back in. I can't tell you how many times I have to tell my hosts, stop paying attention to the numbers, stop worrying about what everybody else's shows are doing, worry about your show. Don't get into comparison mode, And so being in community, and you've done that so beautifully with me, and I've had to thank you for that, to go, hey, nobody can do it like you. You just stay in put your blinders on and go.
And the vanity numbers are it's a trick, because who cares if you reach 100,000 people and only 3 people talk to you? Then
Right.
focus on reaching 3 people, the 3 people that you need to talk to,
Because I mean, I had to think about this for myself. I would, I will still have moments where I'm like, I only had 10, I sent this invitation out to 50 people and only 10 people came, or 5 people came. And if you're because this is how I had to shift, because I'm a people pleaser, and it's okay. I had to shift my mindset though, to if I'm focusing all my energy on the people that didn't come, I'm actually dishonoring the 5 people that did come.
It did come.
And so that was the big breakthrough for me, is going if I want people to be happy, if I want to serve in the biggest and best way that I possibly can, my energy is going out the window worrying about who's not even here.
And what does it matter? And you're stealing all that energy from the people that did show up.
Yep.
Yes, that is so true. And that is probably one of the best pieces of advice anybody can get. That right there. I love that. Okay, so tell me something about you that would surprise or shock most people, something that gives you joy or peace that isn't like chocolate. You know what I mean? Like obviously chocolate gives us joy and peace, but but what would surprise people? What is the thing?
Oh my gosh. I really have to think about this, because I'm we talked about this a little bit during the last expo too, when we were talking about how much do we share. I am such an open book. It's horrible, to a fault sometimes. But gosh, well, okay. So this is something I was actually only brought up on Wednesday, so yesterday. And that's that I enjoy writing really ridiculous, silly parodies to popular music, ones that are
funny.
stupid and horrible. So I will and inappropriate, and so I wrote a few years ago. There's a song. There's a R&B rap song called "Look at Me Now" with Chris Brown and Busta Rhymes. And I wrote a song about couponing to that song. And I will not be performing this for the people today, so you could just come for your autographs later. But I'm literally a walking musical. So I promise you this, we've been talking, 37 minutes now. And you've said, I've had at least 6 songs running through my head while you've been talking. It's really a disease.
That is hilarious.
But it brings me so much joy. I love music. A lot of people know that. I grew up performing, singing, songwriting, acting, all of that on stage. And so I love, I'm a walking musical. I'm sorry. Just
That's hilarious. I did not know that. See, I learned something. That's awesome. That's
I
really
tried to
funny.
give you something good.
That's pretty good. I would have said something boring like vacuuming. I love to vacuum. Like
You
whenever
come
anybody in the house is like, "I'll vacuum for you," I'm like, "No, go do dishes. I'll
Yeah.
vacuum."
You come vacuum for me and I'll sing you a song about vacuuming while we do.
I would vacuum and listen to you sing all day. We'll have to do that. That is hilarious. Okay, so you have an exciting thing coming up. Can you tell us about the Blue Duck Society?
I can, and I'm wearing my blue duck today. I'm okay, so I'm so excited about this because like I said, I get super passionate about a lot of things, and along with the music that fills my brain, I also am a wealth of pop culture knowledge. I don't remember why I walked into the
I'm
kitchen.
never playing trivia with you because
I
I suck at it. I would just be like, yeah. Or if
just
we do play, I'm on your team.
yes, we'll team up. It'll be great. There is a movie that Adam Sandler did called Billy Madison, and in that, just really quick for anybody that's not doesn't have this stuff living rent free in their heads, he needs to take over his father's company, but nobody believes that he could do it, and they find out that his father paid his way through school. And so he wants to prove that he can do it. So he's going to go back and spend a week in every single grade, starting in kindergarten, and repeat the whole of his school to prove that he can do it. Well, in the first grade one, he has to color a picture in order to graduate the first grade, and he colors and draws a blue duck, and the teacher says to him, like, why did you draw the blue? And he says, I drew a blue duck because I've never seen a blue duck before, and I just wanted to draw a blue duck. And that was the end of that. Well, so that scene for some reason always stays in my head. And when I started thinking about it, my brother and I used to love to watch that movie together. And my brother he was fearless. He didn't know a stranger. Now, I mentioned that I performed and things on stage and everything else, but I was afraid. Like I literally would shake through the whole thing. It was really sad. And my brother never knew a stranger. He wasn't afraid to be himself. He just was unapologetically Adam. And so I started thinking about a year ago. I had moved back home here to southeastern Connecticut, and there's a restaurant down the street. We were looking for somewhere to eat, and all of a sudden, I see there's a restaurant called the Blue Duck, and I was like, "This is okay." So I go in there, and there's phrases on the wall from the movie, from Billy Madison, and all these things. And then about a month after that, a friend of mine sent me a bag of charms, and in the bag was a blue duck. I cannot, it just kept showing up. So anyway, I'm thinking about I keep going back to this movie, and I was like, it's so profound that many of us that are creative entrepreneurs, we have these ideas swimming around in our head. We want to see the world a better place, but we're so distracted by all the things. Everybody in our ear telling us what we should and shouldn't be doing. And then we waffle on over the ideas and they don't come to life. You could have had that one idea that could have changed so many things, but we're not like focusing and getting it done. And so I said, it really is as simple as what Billy Madison did of going, I wanted to see a blue duck, so I drew a blue duck. No overcomplicating it. This is not the space that I'm creating. The Blue Duck Society is not a space where you're going to come in and be like, well, I'm not sure if this is a good, I'm going to tell you, figure it out. We're going to get it done. And so the idea is that it is a creative think tank for entrepreneurs who perhaps they've waffled on about or waddled around ideas before and not necessarily gotten them done, brought them to life. Or maybe they're a person who will take a couple of years to get something done instead of, just buckling down and get it done. So this is a place where you're going to get it done. A lot of accountability. And what I'm loving, because we had a little bonus workshop yesterday, the energy that's in the room already, I'm so pumped, because the knowledge that we're going to share in the room is sort of, I'll say it even though I don't like it, a little mastermind style, where you're really soaking in the energy of everybody in the room, but also leaning into what you were talking about. You never really know, in this space, who you're talking to, who you can trust with your most uh, beautiful ideas that you have. And there's a commitment that we make as being a part of the Blue Duck Society to protect everyone's, not just their intellectual property, but their little baby ideas. We're not going to take ideas in that space and go, well, I can go do that better. We're leaving them to you, and having that space together. So it is a six meeting cohort, 3 months, January, February, March. It starts January 7th, 2 hours every other Wednesday that we'll meet up. And there's that accountability. There's actually get stuff done time. And I take everybody through a framework that helps you get it done, so you have something tangible by the end of each cohort.
I love that. I'm so excited. And I am going to join that as well. I am not a person that needs accountability. I'm a oh, I had an idea. Tomorrow we have it done, or at least started. But I just, the there's something about doing things alone, and there's something about doing things with other people. We're all energy. There's that energy. There's those ideas that, you can protect each other's idea and each other's intellectual property, and also add to things. You
Right.
say one thing and that's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Yes. And your idea starts growing.
Right.
And I know enough about you and the people that are in this, that it's a place of safety, and it's a place that you can take your baby ideas and just let it grow. And you know what? If it's a bad idea or not the right idea, it'll just crumble away, and the right idea will be birthed out of that. Like, I've seen that a lot of times. Like, I'm going to do this one thing, and then all of a sudden it's a whole other thing. I mean, that's literally how the Global Business Plaza got here. It was a whole other thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I saw it already yesterday. And part of the amazing thing is that everybody that's a part of it, and this is what I wanted so badly for this space, is everybody has their own very special, unique energy. We have the nurturers in the group. We have the cheerleaders in the group. We have somebody in the group that you and I know very well, that promised us that if we're screwing around, she's going to put on some glitter boots and use them.
Yeah.
That's what she said. So, and I'm sort of in between those two things. I'm going to be the one I think the feedback that I got yesterday is that the questions that were asked in the space were things that they didn't even think about. Like to look at, because I'm always going to be that person. Like I said, I'm curious. I want to know all the layers to the things, and we're going to consider all of it, and then we're going to nail it down, and we're going to get it done, and we are going to change the world.
Exactly. Jessica, thank you so much for giving us this time and insight. And I've just enjoyed this so much. So tell people where they can find you. Obviously, they can find you at the globalbusinessplaza.com. They can go down to the directory and type in your name. But how's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
The breakthroughshownetwork.com, the blueducksociety.com. You can find me as well. And then, in the plaza, I think the link is there. Yeah. Cause you have it linked to all of our offices. You can come in my office anytime. I am one of few that is very good about locking my door when I'm in a meeting. So you can literally,
you'll know to come back.
Yes. If the door is locked, you'll see a little thing pop up, and you can set an appointment with me, and we can chat whenever. But I just love to have conversations, even if it doesn't lead to anything other than a beautiful present 10 minutes together. I'm here for it.
I love that. I love that. Jessica, is there one thing that you want to leave our audience with?
Draw the blue duck.
Draw the blue duck.
You might be the person meant to create the world that you're wanting to see. You could be the answer. Like, that's just, I'm getting my own chills at the moment. You could be the answer to what you're looking for, and most likely you are the answer to what you're looking for. So let's draw it. Let's do it.
If you haven't seen it, be the one to show the world.
There it is.
Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.
I will see all of you next Thursday.